You're scrolling on your phone half awake, thumb moving on autopilot. And suddenly, you stop. Not because of flashy edits or loud music, but because of a quiet, unexpected moment involving one of the most watched women on the planet. Princess Catherine. A short clip. Just a few seconds long, and yet, the internet completely lost its mind. This wasn't a red carpet moment. It wasn't a royal wedding. It wasn't even meant to be a headline. But within hours, this one clip was everywhere. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, news sites, fan pages. Even people who don't care about the royal family were suddenly talking about it. So what was it about this clip that hit such a nerve? To understand why this moment went viral, you have to understand the woman behind the title. Princess Catherine has lived most of her adult life under a microscope. Every outfit analyzed, every smile decoded, every gesture slowed down and replayed. From the moment she stepped into the public eye, she wasn't just dating a prince, she was being quietly trained, tested, and shaped for a role that very few people on earth could survive. And what makes her fascinating is not just the glamour, it's the restraint. For years, Catherine has been known as the royal who never breaks. Always poised, always polished, always careful. In a family known for controversy, scandals, and emotional explosions, she became the symbol of calm, the one who never complains, the one who never explains, which is exactly why this clip felt so different. The video shows her in a seemingly ordinary public setting. No dramatic music, no staged moment, just a camera catching something raw, something human, the kind of moment that usually gets edited out, ignored, or forgotten. But this time, it didn't. People noticed the look on her face first. Not the practiced smile we're used to seeing. Not the diplomatic expression perfected over years of royal engagements. This was softer, more vulnerable, almost like she forgot for just a second that the world was watching. And that's what stopped people mid-scroll. Because for once, Princess Catherine didn't look like a future queen. She looked like a woman, carrying a lot. Within minutes of the clip spreading, social media did what it always does. Armchair experts appeared out of nowhere. Body language analysts started breaking down every movement. Light readers claimed they knew exactly what she was thinking. Some said the clip showed exhaustion. Others said it showed quiet strength. A few even suggested it revealed frustration that she's been hiding for years. And suddenly, everyone had a theory. But here's the thing. The clip itself isn't dramatic in the traditional sense. There's no shouting, no tears, no scandal. If you watched it without context, you might even miss it. That's what makes it powerful, because the internet didn't react to what she did. It reacted to what she didn't do. She didn't correct herself quickly. She didn't mask the emotion instantly. She didn't switch into royal mode fast enough to hide that flicker of real feeling and that tiny crack in the armor. That's what went viral. For years, Catherine has been compared endlessly to other royal women. To Princess Diana, to Meghan Markle, to every woman who has ever married into that family. And through all of it, she's taken this silent route. No tell-all interviews, no explosive statements, no public complaints, just duty. Over and over again, which is why many viewers didn't see weakness in the clip. They saw honesty. Some people said it made them respect her more. Others said it made them worried. A lot of viewers admitted something surprising. They felt protective of her. That doesn't happen often with royals. They're usually seen as distant, untouchable, almost fictional. But this clip shattered that illusion for a moment. It reminded people that behind the designer coats and royal protocol is someone who has spent more than a decade walking a tightrope, smiling at strangers, raising children in the spotlight, supporting an institution that doesn't allow mistakes, especially from women. And timing matters here. The clip didn't go viral in a vacuum. It came at a time when public curiosity around Catherine has been intense. People have been watching her more closely than ever, not just for fashion or formality, but for signs, clues, hints about how she's really doing. So when this moment appeared, it felt like confirmation to a lot of viewers that what they've been sensing all along might be true, that carrying the weight of a crown, even before you wear it, comes at a cost. News outlets quickly picked up the clip, but their coverage was cautious. Royal reporters chose their words carefully. Phrases like subtle moment and brief reaction were used instead of anything dramatic. Because when it comes to the royal family, especially Catherine, nothing is ever said outright. But the audience didn't need headlines to tell them how to feel. Comment sections filled with messages like, "She looks tired. She's human. Finally, I hope she's okay. Made me emotional and I don't even know why." That's when you know of. Moment has power. And then came the debates. Some critics accused the internet of projecting emotions that weren't really there. They argued that a single clip shouldn't be overanalyzed, that Catherine has always maintained composure. And this was no different. Others pushed back hard. They pointed out that when a woman has been trained for years to hide emotion, even the smallest crack matters. That noticing it isn't invasive, it's empathetic. And maybe both sides are right, but what can't be denied is this. The clip changed the conversation. Instead of talking about what Catherine wore, people talked about how she felt. Instead of speculating about royal drama, they talked about emotional labor, about pressure, about what it means to live a life where you're never allowed to be off. And in a strange way, that's exactly why the clip mattered. It didn't reveal a secret. It didn't expose a scandal. It didn't rewrite history. It simply reminded millions of people that perfection has a price. For Catherine, that price has been paid quietly for years. Every public appearance is a performance. Every interaction is measured. Every facial expression is judged by millions who have never met her. And yet she keeps showing up, keeps doing the work, keeps holding it together. So when the world saw that brief, unguarded moment, it felt earned, not shocking. Not scandalous. Human. And maybe that's why it resonated so deeply. Because in an era of filters, PR statements, and perfectly curated images, authenticity, even accidental authenticity, feels rare. And when it comes from someone who spent a lifetime being composed, it hits even harder. The clip will eventually fade from the algorithm. Something else will replace it. Another viral moment. Another headline, but the feeling it left behind. That lingers. It reminded people that behind the title princess, behind the expectations, behind the future crown, there is a woman navigating pressure in a way most of us will never fully understand. And for just a few seconds, the world didn't see royalty, they saw reality. There was no announcement. No official clip released by palace channels. No dramatic slow-motion replay with commentary. The video didn't come from a polished source. It came from the crowd. From everyday footage, the kind that usually disappears into the internet without a trace. But this one didn't, because people felt something when they watched it. Some viewers said it reminded them of moments in their own lives that split. Second, when you're holding it together in public, and then suddenly you almost don't. That pause, that breath, that look that says more than words ever could. And for a woman who has been trained to communicate without speaking, that moment spoke volumes. Catherine has always understood the power of silence. From the very beginning of her royal journey, she learned quickly that reacting publicly often creates more noise than staying quiet. While others told their side of the story, she stayed still. While rumors swirled, she showed up and smiled. While criticism grew louder, she kept doing the job. That strategy earned her respect, but it also came at a personal cost. Imagine knowing that every time you step outside your door, someone is filming. Someone is zooming in. Someone is waiting for a mistake. Not a big mistake. Just a human one. A blink too long. A smile too short. A moment of distraction. This viral clip reminded people that even someone as composed as Princess Catherine is still human under all that training. And once that realization hit, the floodgates opened. Old interviews resurfaced. Past appearances were rewatched. People began noticing things they hadn't paid attention to before. The way she sometimes pauses before speaking. The way she centers herself before greeting crowds. The way she often places a reassuring hand on others while rarely receiving that same comfort in return. Suddenly, the clip wasn't just about a single moment. It became a symbol of quiet endurance. And that's something a lot of people relate to Dot in a world where oversharing is encouraged and vulnerability is often loud and performative. Catherine's vulnerability has always been subtle, almost invisible. And maybe that's why it took this long for people to truly see it. This wasn't vulnerability staged for sympathy. It wasn't part of a narrative. It wasn't followed by an explanation. It just happened. And then the internet did what it does best. It paused, rewound, and asked, "Did you see that too?" What's also interesting is who reacted the strongest. It wasn't just royal fans. It wasn't just critics. It was everyday viewers. People who normally scroll past royal news without a second thought. People who don't know protocol, titles, or traditions. They felt something instinctively. Because you don't need to understand the monarchy to recognize emotional weight. You don't need to know palace rules to see when someone is carrying a lot. That's why so many comments weren't analytical. They were emotional. Messages of support. Messages of concern. Messages wishing her peace, rest, and happiness. For a family often seen as distant and unrelatable, that reaction was rare and powerful. Of course, there were also those who dismissed it entirely. People who said the moment was being exaggerated, that the internet was reading too much into nothing, that Catherine was simply being Catherine-composed, reserved, professional. And maybe that's true. But even if it is, the reaction still tells us something important. It tells us that people are hungry for authenticity, that they're tired of perfectly managed images, that they're drawn to moments that feel real, even when they're quiet and fleeting. And in that sense, the viral clip wasn't really about Catherine K alone. It was about us, about how we project, about how we empathize, about how we connect to people we've never met. And Catherine, whether she intended to or not, became the mirror. As the future queen. She represents stability, continuity, tradition. But this moment reminded everyone that stability doesn't mean invulnerability. That strength doesn't mean the absence of emotion. And that composure doesn't erase pressure. It just hides it well. That's why the clip will be remembered, even after the algorithm moves on. Not because it was dramatic, but because it was honest. It showed that even in the most controlled environments, humanity finds a way to surface. Even in the most polished lives, there are moments where the mask slips, just enough for the truth to shine through. And maybe that's what people will carry with them, not the clip itself, but the feeling it created. A quiet reminder that behind every title, every expectation, and every role, there is still a person doing their best. And sometimes, that's more powerful than any speech, interview, or headline ever could be. Disclaimer: the content in this video is based on publicly available information, media sources, and opinions. It is created for entertainment and educational purposes only. We do not claim or guarantee that every detail is 100% accurate.